Officer Daniel Ruiz had worked airports long enough to recognize the rhythm of them, the constant hum of rolling luggage, the overlapping announcements echoing off high ceilings, the sharp contrast between frantic travelers and bored ones. Denver International Airport was never quiet, but that morning felt louder than usual. Maybe it was the holiday rush. Maybe it was the storm delays stacking flights like dominoes. Or maybe Daniel only noticed the chaos, because the one thing that was supposed to ground him wasn't responding at all. K9 Rex stood at his side, leash slack between them. "Rex," Daniel said calmly, keeping his voice low, "heel." "Nothing." The German shepherd didn't even flick an ear. His paws were planted on the polished floor near gate C-17, body stiff as stone, eyes fixed somewhere beyond the blur of passing legs and swinging coats. Daniel tried again, a little firmer this time. "Heel." Still nothing. Daniel felt a familiar tightening in his chest, not fear exactly, but something close to it. Rex wasn't just any police dog. He was one of the best explosive detection K9s in the state. 8 years old, fully trained, decorated. He had cleared crowded stadiums, subway platforms, political rallies. Gunfire didn't shake him. Shouting crowds didn't faze him. Not even the explosion 2 years earlier, the one that killed his original handler, had broken his focus in the line of duty. But today, in the middle of an airport full of ordinary people, Rex wouldn't move. "Sorry, folks," Daniel muttered as a couple dragged their suitcases around them, shooting irritated looks. A businessman sighed loudly. A woman snapped a photo. Daniel crouched beside Rex, loosening his grip on the leash and resting a hand on the dog's thick fur. "Hey, partner," he whispered, "what's going on with you?" Rex's breathing was shallow. His ears were pinned back, tail low, muscles tense beneath Daniel's palm. And then Daniel felt it, a subtle tremor running through Rex's body. The dog was shaking. Daniel straightened slowly, scanning the area. He checked the departure board, he checked the people. He checked the bags piled near the gate. Nothing stood out, no obvious threats, no suspicious behavior. Yet Rex's nose wasn't working, not sniffing, not searching. His eyes looked unfocused, distant, like he was staring through the present and into something else entirely. A TSA officer approached. "Everything okay, Ruiz?" Daniel forced a nod. "Yeah, just giving him a minute." The officer hesitated, eyes lingering on Rex. "Never seen him act like this." "Neither have I," Daniel admitted quietly. He guided Rex a few steps back from the gate, trying to create space. Rex resisted, claws scraping faintly against the floor. Daniel tightened the leash instinctively, then stopped himself. Pulling never helped when a dog was confused. You had to listen first. That was when Daniel noticed where Rex was looking. Not at a bag. Not at a person of interest. But toward the far end of the terminal, where families spilled out of a delayed flight. Parents juggling strollers, kids whining, grandparents hugging, strangers reuniting and separating in a blur of emotion. Rex let out a low sound, barely audible. Not a growl, not a bark, something closer to a whimper. Daniel's stomach dropped. 2 years earlier, after the warehouse explosion, Rex had made that sound only once at the funeral. Mark Harris's funeral. Daniel swallowed, pushing the memory away. He had promised himself he wouldn't let the past bleed into the job. Rex had recovered. They both had. Or at least, that's what Daniel told himself on the nights when Rex woke up whining in his sleep, paws twitching as if running towards something he could never reach. "Rex," Daniel said again, softer now, "look at me." The dog didn't. Around them, life rushed on. Announcements echoed overhead. A gate agent called boarding groups. Somewhere nearby, a baby cried. The airport smelled like coffee and disinfectant and jet fuel. Ordinary, safe. Yet Rex stood there like a statue, guarding an invisible line no one else could see. Daniel radioed in. "Command, this is Ruiz. K9's experiencing unusual behavior, requesting guidance." "Copy that," came the reply. Any alerts? Negative, no indication of threat. Understood. Remove from active screening if necessary. Daniel clipped the radio back onto his vest, jaw tightening. Removing Rex felt wrong. Leaving felt worse. Before he could decide, a small shape broke away from the crowd. Daniel noticed her only because Rex did. The dog's head tilted slightly. His ears twitched forward just a bit. The trembling slowed. A little girl, no older than 6, dragged a pink backpack nearly as big as her torso. One strap hung loose, bouncing against the floor. Her sneakers lit up with every step. She stopped a few feet away, staring openly at Rex with wide, curious eyes. "Sweetie," a woman's voice called from behind her, distracted. "Don't wander off." The girl didn't hear her, or maybe she didn't care. She took another step closer. Daniel's instincts flared. "Hey there," he said gently, starting to rise. "You need to." Rex moved. Not aggressively, not suddenly, just a slow shift of weight forward as if pulled by something invisible. Daniel's hand tightened on the leash again, but Rex didn't lunge. He didn't bark. He simply leaned closer to the girl, nose lowering toward her level. The child smiled. She crouched down in front of him, completely unafraid. Daniel's heart pounded. "Miss, please don't." But then the girl spoke, and the world seemed to narrow to the sound of her voice. "Are you lost too?" she asked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, sincere question, as if she were talking to another kid who'd missed their flight. Rex froze. For a long, breathless second, nothing happened. Then slowly, almost uncertainly, Rex's tail moved. Once. Daniel's breath caught. Twice. The airport noise faded into the background as Rex lowered his head inch by inch until his nose hovered just above the girl's shoe. He sniffed lightly, then pressed his nose against it, like he was confirming something he'd been afraid to believe. The girl giggled softly. "Mom says airports are big," she added. "It's easy to get lost." Daniel stood rooted to the spot, every rule he'd ever learned screaming in his head. He should step in. He should pull Rex back. He should separate them. But he didn't. Because Rex made a sound Daniel had never heard before. A soft, broken whine, full of emotion, full of recognition, full of something dangerously close to grief. Passengers nearby slowed. A few stopped. Phones came out. Even the gate agent paused mid-announcement, watching the scene unfold. The girl tilted her head, studying Rex's face with a seriousness far beyond her years. She leaned closer and whispered something so quietly Daniel almost missed it. Rex stiffened. Every muscle in his body locked at once, as if struck by lightning. Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. Because whatever the girl had just said, it wasn't something a stranger should have known. And Rex, his brave, unshakable partner, looked like he'd just seen a ghost. The terminal seemed to pause. Travelers continued to move around them, but their motions felt muted, distant, as if Daniel had been pulled into a bubble of quiet that existed only around Rex and the girl. Even the announcements over the loudspeakers sounded softer, almost surreal. The little girl's eyes never left Rex, wide, dark, serious, and impossibly knowing. She squatted low to the ground, pink backpack sliding off her shoulders onto the floor with a soft thud. Daniel took a careful step forward, his hand hovering over Rex's collar. He trained for countless situations where a child was in danger, bombs, shooters, kidnappers. But this wasn't danger in the ordinary sense. This was connection, something deeper, something almost mystical. Rex's whine grew louder, shaky, and uncertain. Daniel's stomach twisted. He'd seen dogs react to strangers, but never like this. His K9 partner, who had braved the worst humanity could throw at him, was frozen in recognition. Daniel crouched slightly to match the girl's height, trying to observe her without interfering. "Hey there, sweetheart," he said gently, his voice carrying both authority and warmth. "Are you lost?" The girl shook her head slowly. No, she said, and then, tilting her head toward Rex, she asked again, Are you lost too? Daniel froze. He glanced down at Rex. The dog's ears perked slightly. His tail wagged once, then stiffened as he stared directly into the girl's eyes. Daniel felt the unmistakable hair-raising sensation that told him something extraordinary was happening. The girl reached out her tiny hand. Trembling just slightly, she rested her palm on Rex's thick black fur. You're scared, she said softly. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Her voice was steady, confident in a way that made Daniel's heart skip. Rex's tail thumped against the floor once, twice. Then, incredibly, he lowered his massive head onto the girl's shoulder, his muzzle brushing her pigtails. The crowd around them shifted uncomfortably. Some people whispered. Phones were raised to record, but Daniel didn't care. He could barely process what he was seeing. The girl's mother arrived at a run, panic etched across her face. Lily, sweetie, don't. Her voice trailed off as she saw her daughter kneeling calmly before a police dog. Don't touch him. He's a working dog. But Lily didn't flinch. She pressed a soft kiss to Rex's fur. He's not working right now. He's scared, she said. I'll help him. Daniel exhaled slowly, trying to keep the disbelief from showing on his face. He'd never seen a civilian, much less a 6-year-old, calm a K9 with a single touch. Rex's eyes, usually vigilant and calculating, softened, and for the first time that morning, Daniel noticed tears welling up in the dog's deep brown eyes. Sweetheart, what are you doing? The mother asked, voice trembling. He could bite. He's a trained officer. Lily stood, gently holding Rex's massive head in her hands. No, he won't. He remembers me, she whispered. Daniel froze. Remembers you. His voice was barely audible. He could feel every hair on his arm standing. Yes, Lily said, voice cracking slightly. She looked down at Rex with the certainty of someone who had known this moment her entire life. He stayed when Daddy couldn't. Daniel's stomach dropped. He remembered Mark Harris, the young K9 handler who had died 2 years ago during an explosive incident at a warehouse. Mark's death had left a hole in Rex's world, one Daniel had tried to fill with training, care, and patience. But Rex had never truly healed. Not until now, it seemed. The mother clutched Lily's shoulders, panic mixing with confusion. Honey, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Lily's small face twisted with grief and longing. Daddy, she whispered. He told Max he'd find me if I was ever scared. He said Max would keep me safe. Daniel's hands shook slightly. That sound, the low whine, the trembling, made a shiver run down his spine. Rex wasn't just reacting to the girl's presence. He was remembering someone he had loved, someone he had lost, someone he had promised to protect. Nearby, passengers whispered, drawn into the scene. Phones were raised to capture what was happening. Some chuckled nervously, assuming it was staged for a viral video. Others were too stunned to move. The airport's fluorescent lights reflected off polished floors, highlighting the surreal tableau of a small girl standing fearlessly before a full-grown police dog, whose entire body radiated recognition, loyalty, and heartbreak. Daniel knelt beside Rex again, gently resting his hand on the dog's shoulder. Okay, buddy, he murmured. We're not going anywhere, but you have to. Rex ignored him. His gaze never wavered from Lily's face. Then slowly, deliberately, he sat down on his haunches, a position Daniel had never taught him to do in public. He was calm, submissive, but fully alert, a living, breathing shield around the girl. Do you know him? Daniel asked the mother cautiously. The dog, does she know him? The mother shook her head, tears forming in her eyes. I don't understand. Lily's father died 2 years ago before she was 5. She couldn't have known about the dog. Her voice broke. We didn't tell her anything about Max. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. Every instinct in his body screamed that this was beyond ordinary coincidence, beyond training, beyond logic. Rex wasn't just recognizing someone he should know. He was reacting to a memory, a connection, a promise. Lily crouched closer, resting her forehead lightly against Rex's massive snout. "It's okay," she whispered again. "I'm not scared anymore, he's here." Passengers stopped walking. Airport employees paused mid-task. Even the noise of rolling suitcases seemed to fade. There was only the little girl and the dog, and the energy between them, a bond older than time, stronger than fear. Daniel's radio buzzed. He ignored it. This was something else, something sacred. Then Lily whispered a single word that made Rex stiffen entirely. "Daddy." It was not just a recognition. It was a trigger. Every muscle in Rex's body went rigid. His ears shot forward. His tail froze. His breathing sharpened. The calm, loyal police dog had shifted to something else, something almost human. The air felt charged, electric. Daniel instinctively stepped back. He had seen dogs respond to fear, aggression, and commands, but this was different. Rex was remembering, reacting, mourning, protecting. Passengers drew closer, some filming, some just staring in disbelief. Daniel felt a surge of both pride and fear. Pride that Rex had such loyalty and memory. Fear for what might happen next, because whatever Lily had said, whatever memory had resurfaced, it was raw, unpredictable, and real. Then something snapped. Rex let out a low, urgent bark, not a threat yet, a warning. His eyes scanned the terminal, ears pinned forward, muscles coiled like springs. Daniel froze. This wasn't just recognition. Something had changed. Something was coming, something dangerous. And then Lily whispered, looking directly into Rex's eyes. "They need me." Daniel's heart stopped. He had no idea what she meant. The mother gasped, stepping forward, but Lily's gaze didn't waver. Rex growled softly, a sound filled with recognition, fear, and determination. Every instinct he had trained his entire life to suppress flared to life. He wasn't just a police dog anymore. He was a guardian. And whatever was coming next, Daniel realized, it wasn't just going to shock the airport. It was going to shake him to his core. The crowd held its breath, and then Rex moved. Forward. Toward the pink backpack. Toward something no one had yet noticed. Something ticking. Something deadly. The crowd at gate C-17 froze in place as Rex advanced, his body tense, muscles coiled, every step deliberate. Daniel tried to keep pace, heart hammering in his chest, but he quickly realized he couldn't control the dog in the way he thought he could. This wasn't training. This was memory, a bond older than any command. Lily didn't move. She stayed crouched by the pink backpack, staring up at Rex with eyes wide and unwavering. The dog lowered his head slightly, brushing the tips of his ears against her shoulders. His tail remained stiff, but there was no aggression, only recognition, only longing. Daniel swallowed hard. "Buddy, wait," he started, but Rex ignored him. Something in the girl's voice had activated a chain reaction buried deep within his instincts. He was remembering. Then Lily spoke again, quietly, almost reverently. "Max." Daniel's blood ran cold. Rex froze mid-step. His ears shot forward, his tail straightened. Every hair on his massive frame bristled. The name, the one she had whispered, was not just any name. It was the name of his original handler, the man who had died 2 years ago in a warehouse explosion, Officer Mark Harris. No one outside the department knew the dog's original name, classified, secret. And now somehow a 6-year-old girl had spoken it. Daniel glanced at Lily's mother. Her hands flew to her mouth, disbelief etched across her face. "How, where?" she stammered. Lily's lips trembled as she looked at Rex. "Daddy told me to call him Max if I ever needed help. He said he'd always find me." Daniel felt his knees weaken. This couldn't be real. And yet the evidence was undeniable. Rex's behavior, his sudden rigidity, the low growl of recognition. Every officer in the vicinity leaned in, some reaching for their phones, others whispering. Passengers, initially drawn by curiosity, began to murmur among themselves. Phones appeared, cameras clicked. "Is this staged?" one woman whispered. But the emotion emanating from Rex was raw, unteachable, primal. This was beyond a viral video. This was real. Rex lowered himself to a sit, his massive frame trembling. His nose hovered over Lily's hand as she patted his head gently. Daniel watched, unable to tear his eyes away. The dog's eyes, deep and expressive, filled with something human, grief, longing, relief. He had found someone he had lost, someone his old handler had loved, someone he was now charged to protect. The mother's voice was barely audible. You know him." Lily nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. "I remember. Daddy said, he said Max would always protect me, and Max remembered me." Daniel crouched beside Rex, whispering, "He's a working dog. He doesn't recognize civilians." But Rex ignored him entirely. His gaze never wavered from Lily. The tremors in his body slowly subsided as he rested his head against her chest, every ounce of tension draining away, replaced by an unshakable focus. Daniel's radio crackled. "Ruiz, any updates?" He ignored it. Nothing could interrupt this moment. Nothing could make sense of what was happening. Then Lily whispered another word, "Home." Rex's ears flicked, his gaze sharpened, and he let out a low, urgent whine. Daniel stiffened. That whine wasn't casual. It wasn't playful. It was a warning, an alert, a signal that something was out there, something only Rex could sense. The terminal seemed suddenly too quiet. The normal din of rolling luggage, voices, and announcements faded into the background. Daniel's instincts screamed at him. This wasn't just a reunion. Something was coming. He glanced at the pink backpack, lying just behind Lily. Normally, Daniel would have dismissed it as a child's bag, inconsequential, but Rex's behavior told him otherwise. The dog's low growl was now more pronounced, his gaze locked on the bag as though it were a threat invisible to human eyes. "Buddy, what is it?" Daniel whispered, hand hovering over Rex's collar. But the dog didn't move toward him. He moved closer to Lily, body shielding her, ears forward, eyes sharp. The passengers around them began to notice. Phones lifted to record. A few gasped. Daniel felt a bead of sweat run down his temple. "Keep your distance," he shouted, though even he didn't know what he was shouting at. Suddenly, Lily bent down and whispered something else into Rex's ear. The dog stiffened, his body rigid as a steel spring. Daniel's stomach dropped. He realized that whatever the girl had said, it had triggered a memory far older than any training, a memory of a promise, a memory of danger, and a memory of loss. The mother gasped, "Lily, what are you doing?" Lily looked up, eyes filled with determination. "He promised me. Max promised he'd keep me safe, and he remembers." Daniel felt his heart pound in his chest. He had trained dogs for years, seen them detect explosives, track criminals, confront violent suspects, but he had never seen anything like this. Rex wasn't following commands. He wasn't performing. He was acting on instinct, on memory, on loyalty that transcended life and death. The air around them shifted. Passengers began murmuring, some stepping back in confusion, others frozen in awe. Daniel noticed a security officer slowly approaching, hand hovering over their radio. He wanted to speak, to ask for orders, but he didn't. Whatever was happening, Rex was in charge. Then it happened. Rex's gaze snapped to the pink backpack. His hackles rose, tail stiffened, and he emitted a low growl that reverberated through the polished terminal floor. Daniel felt the hair on his arms stand on end. "That bag," Lily whispered almost to herself. "It's not safe." Daniel turned sharply toward her mother, whose face had gone pale. "What do you mean?" she asked, voice trembling. Lily's small hand trembled slightly as she pointed toward the backpack. "Daddy said to watch it. If something bad is there, Max has to protect me." Daniel's mind raced. The backpack was just a bag, ordinary, but Rex's behavior told him otherwise. He had to trust the dog. He always trusted the dog, and right now Rex was signaling imminent danger. Seconds later, Daniel saw it, a faint metallic glint in the bag's zipper. Something moved inside, something heavy. His pulse spiked. "Everyone back," he shouted, his voice sharp and commanding. "Clear the area." Passengers obeyed, stepping back in confusion and fear, phones still raised, filming. The airport staff evacuated the immediate vicinity. Daniel's hand tightened on Rex's leash. The dog crouched slightly, body coiled like a spring, protecting Lily with every ounce of his being. Then the bag shifted slightly on its own, the metallic glint moving with it. Daniel's blood ran cold. His mind raced through possibilities: explosives, weapons, a prank, a trap. All at once, the calm reunion, the miraculous recognition, and the sudden danger collided into a storm of adrenaline. Lily held onto Rex's fur, whispering, "It's okay, we'll be safe. Max is here." Rex growled low, protective, warning anyone or anything that might try to approach. Daniel realized the truth. This was more than a reunion. It was a rescue in progress. The crowd held its breath. The terminal seemed to shrink around the girl and the dog. Every second stretched longer than the last. Daniel could feel his heart pounding in his ears. Rex's eyes never left the pink backpack. Every instinct screamed, danger, immediate danger. And in that heartbeat of silence, Daniel knew one thing for certain. Rex wasn't just a police dog anymore. He was a guardian. And the airport, everyone in it, was about to witness something no one could have predicted. The terminal had emptied just enough to give Daniel some breathing room, but the tension was suffocating. Passengers huddled in clusters, phones raised, whispering frantically. Rex crouched protectively in front of Lily, his massive head level with her small frame, eyes scanning every shadow, every flicker of movement. Daniel couldn't remember the last time he had felt fear like this. Not for himself, not for anyone. But this was primal. Daniel knelt beside Rex, hand resting on his collar, whispering reassurances the dog didn't seem to hear. Rex's focus was absolute. Every fiber of his being was directed at the girl, at the backpack, and inexplicably at something else in the invisible threads of memory only he could perceive. Then Lily's mother pulled her phone from her pocket, shaking so violently Daniel feared she might drop it. "I need to show you something," she said, her voice barely audible over the low hum of alarmed whispers. She handed the screen to Daniel. It was a photograph. Daniel's breath hitched before he even realized what he was looking at. The photo showed a young man in a police uniform, crouched beside a small German Shepherd puppy, Rex. The puppy looked up at him with the same alert, intelligent eyes Daniel now knew too well. The man smiled gently, one hand resting on the dog's head, the other holding a small K9 badge. Daniel's stomach dropped. That man, that was Mark Harris, his original handler, the one who had died in the warehouse explosion 2 years ago. He swallowed hard. Where did you get this?" he asked, voice shaking. The mother's hands trembled as she held the phone out to show Daniel the little girl in the photo. It was Lily, younger, barely 3, sitting on a blanket with the puppy, her first meeting with Rex. "We found it in his office after it happened," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Lily doesn't remember being there, but it's him. It's Mark." Lily's eyes never left Rex. "Daddy said Max would always protect me," she said, small and steady, "even if he couldn't be here." Daniel knelt closer, glancing down at Rex. The dog's massive body was coiled like a spring, ears forward, tail stiff, eyes locked on the girl. The whine that had started hours ago was now a low, steady rumble, a sound of recognition, loyalty, and grief all combined. Daniel felt his chest tighten as he realized the dog wasn't just aware of Lily. He was aware of Mark, of the promise Mark had made, of the duty Rex had been carrying silently for 2 long years. The mother stepped forward, voice trembling. "Lily, do you understand what's happening?" Lily nodded. "I'm not scared, Max is here." Daniel's instincts screamed again. This wasn't just a reunion. This was the setup for something far more dangerous. The way Rex's body stiffened toward the backpack, the way his low growl vibrated through the polished floor, it wasn't normal. Not normal at all. He stepped closer to the bag, signaling for TSA officers to hold back. "Rex is detecting something," he warned. "Everyone stay back." The officers hesitated, unsure. Rex was behaving unusually, but Daniel trusted the dog more than any machine, more than any protocol. His K9 partner was sending a clear message. Danger was imminent. Daniel gestured toward Lily. "Get her back," he ordered, but Lily didn't budge. She kept one hand on Rex's shoulder, the other resting lightly on the backpack. "He said I have to stay with him," she said simply. Daniel's jaw tightened. He had trained for obedience. He had trained for control, but this was beyond training. Rex was not just reacting to commands. He was acting on memory, instinct, and something deeper, something Daniel couldn't name. Then slowly, deliberately, Rex took a step toward the backpack, sniffing the air, growl deepening. Daniel froze. Something heavy moved inside the bag. A faint metallic glint caught the light of the overhead panels. Daniel's pulse spiked. He realized what he was seeing. This wasn't just a child's backpack. Something lethal was inside. He raised his hand. Everyone move, clear the area. Passengers scattered, some squealing, some frozen in fear. TSA agents scrambled to secure the terminal. Daniel's hands shook as he unclipped Rex's leash, but the dog didn't move away from Lily. Instead, he crouched lower, positioning himself between her and the bag, a living shield. The mother's voice broke through the chaos. "Lily, what is it? What did you see?" Lily's small hand remained on Rex's shoulder. "He said it would hurt people," she whispered. "Daddy said Max would stop it. Max is here." Daniel's blood ran cold. This wasn't imagination. The glint in the bag, the weight, the smell, everything screamed explosive. His training kicked in instantly. He backed up, scanning the area, signaling for officers to approach cautiously. A bomb squad officer stepped forward, eyes wide at the sight of Rex crouched protectively in front of a small girl. Is that your dog?" he asked, voice trembling. Daniel nodded sharply. "Yes, and he's detecting something. Clear the area now." Rex growled, low and warning, as the squad approached. The metal zipper of the pink backpack shifted slightly on its own. Daniel felt his stomach twist. The device inside, whatever it was real and deadly. The mother grabbed Lily, trying to pull her away, but Lily's grip on Rex's fur didn't loosen. "He's okay," she said softly. "He'll protect me, he promised." Daniel swallowed, heart pounding. He had seen Rex save lives before, but never like this. Not with a child, not with a memory, not with stakes this high. Every instinct screamed that Rex knew something the humans couldn't see. Something deadly was inside that bag, and Rex's every move was calculated to protect the girl. The bomb squad carefully approached the backpack, using the robotic arm to lift it onto a secure table. Rex's growl continued, low, resonant, almost mournful. Daniel placed a hand on his K9 partner's shoulder. "Good boy," he murmured. "You've got this." Then the robot arm lifted the bag slightly, and Daniel's blood ran cold. Inside was a small, crude device, wires protruding haphazardly, a ticking mechanism faintly audible to trained ears. It was designed to cause maximum harm in a crowded area. Daniel realized with horror how close they had all been to disaster. The terminal erupted into controlled chaos as officers evacuated the remaining passengers. Phones still captured the scene, recording the miracle unfolding. A 6-year-old girl and a grieving police dog who somehow understood more than anyone else in the room. Rex didn't move from Lily's side. He crouched, alert, aware, protective, as if signaling, "We're not done yet." Daniel turned to Lily's mother. "That girl, she saved us," he said, voice shaking. "I don't know how she knew, but Rex reacted to her. That kid, she's connected to him, connected to all of this." The mother's eyes welled with tears. I don't know, she always talks about Daddy and Max, like she remembers something I don't." Daniel's gaze shifted to Rex. The dog's eyes, once fierce and unbreakable, were soft now, filled with loyalty and love. Yet there was still an edge, an awareness that the danger had not yet passed. He wasn't just a dog, he was a guardian, a protector, a living reminder that some bonds could never be broken, even by death. Then Lily whispered, almost to herself, "I told you he'd be here." Daniel watched as Rex lifted his massive head, scanning the crowd, scanning the terminal, scanning everything. His low growl deepened, a final warning. Something or someone was still out there. And Rex, the dog who had been lost in grief and pain, was ready. The terminal had become a controlled chaos of panicked travelers and rushing officers. Daniel Ruiz's heart thumped in his chest like a war drum, each beat echoing the urgency in Rex's movements. The dog's low growl reverberated through the polished floors, a warning carried more by instinct than command. Every passenger had either frozen or fled, leaving only a cordoned-off area around the pink backpack and the small girl. Rex crouched closer to Lily, his body a living barricade. Daniel's instincts screamed. This was no ordinary situation. His K9 partner had detected explosives countless times, but the dog's intensity now, his unwavering focus on Lily and the backpack, was something else, something deeply personal. "Rex, stay," Daniel started, but the dog ignored him entirely. Instead, he leaned into the child, growl sharpening, nose twitching as he scanned the area around the backpack. His ears pivoted in rapid, precise movements, picking up noises beyond human perception. Daniel's radio crackled. "Ruiz, what's your status?" "Active alert," Daniel responded, keeping his voice low. "Rex has detected something. The backpack possible explosive device. Clear the area." A bomb technician stepped forward cautiously, eyes widening at the sight of Rex, crouched low, tail stiff, eyes blazing with determination. "Sir, he's shielding the girl, should I?" "Wait," Daniel said. "Let him do his thing, trust him. He knows something we don't." Passengers craned their necks, murmuring, phones raised to capture the unfolding drama. Some whispered, "Is this real?" Others gasped audibly. But Daniel couldn't think about them. His focus was singular: protect Lily and let Rex guide them through this danger. Rex's low growl escalated into a rapid, vibrating warning, almost like a vocal alarm. His massive paws shifted, inching toward the backpack. Daniel's pulse raced. Something inside that seemingly innocent pink bag had Rex reacting like it could destroy everything in sight. Lily crouched, hand firmly on Rex's shoulder. "He's here," she said softly. "He won't let anything happen." Daniel swallowed hard, astonished by her calmness. This little girl had somehow forged a connection with Rex that transcended training, memory, and logic. And in that connection, he sensed a life-saving instinct that surpassed even his own years of experience. The bomb squad's robot arm approached the backpack cautiously, and Rex growled sharply as the mechanical claw lifted it slightly. Daniel's stomach tightened. He recognized the type of device immediately: homemade, crude, but deadly. Wires were exposed, ticking mechanisms visible through small openings. Whoever had left it hadn't done a careful job, just a rush job meant to terrorize. Daniel glanced at the girl. Lily's eyes followed Rex's every motion, her small hands resting lightly on the dog's fur. "He knows," she whispered. "He can see it." Daniel's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't possible. But the evidence was overwhelming. Rex's behavior, the growl, the unshakable focus. He wasn't just following training. He was reading the world like a memory, predicting the danger with precision no human could match. "Step back," Daniel shouted to the bomb squad. "Clear the area completely." Passengers obeyed, hurrying toward exit gates. Cameras still clicked, capturing the tense tableau. A 6-year-old girl and a massive police dog holding the center of attention while the rest of the terminal evacuated. Rex shifted slightly, eyes flicking toward the far corner of the terminal. Daniel followed his gaze and his stomach dropped. Among the fleeing travelers, a man in a hooded jacket lingered near the stairwell, watching intently. He hadn't left. He hadn't evacuated. Rex stiffened further, growl vibrating through the terminal floor. Daniel's blood ran cold. The man's presence didn't register on any cameras, didn't trip any sensors, but Rex's instincts were unerring. Daniel knew instantly this was the one responsible, the one who had planted the device. The bomb squad robot gingerly moved the bag toward the containment zone. Rex shifted his weight, subtly blocking it from Lily's side, ensuring the child remained safe while allowing the robot to do its job. Daniel watched, all mixing with dread, as his partner executed perfect protective maneuvers without a single command. Suddenly, the device shifted again. The faint ticking accelerated and Rex barked, a deep, resonant warning that echoed like thunder across the terminal. Daniel's pulse skyrocketed. Every officer and technician froze, including the robot operator controlling the bomb-diffusing machinery. Then Lily whispered sharply, "Max." Rex's body coiled. His growl turned into a high-pitched alert, tail stiff, ears pinned forward. The crowd stepped back further, but Daniel realized that the child was not scared. She was communicating, guiding, and somehow her voice, her presence, was reinforcing Rex's instincts. The bomber, watching from a distance, realized Rex had detected him. Panic flashed across his face. He attempted to step away, but Rex's gaze was locked. The dog's posture changed, crouched low, muscles tense, ready to strike at the slightest movement. Daniel instinctively grabbed Rex's collar, but the dog's eyes never left the man. "Don't move," Daniel barked at the suspect, voice steady despite the chaos. "Drop it now." The man froze, then bolted. In an instant, Rex lunged, not recklessly, but with precision, intercepting him in the terminal's open space. Daniel's heart leapt as the dog pinned the suspect against a railing with minimal force, holding him until officers arrived to secure him. Meanwhile, the bomb squad worked feverishly. The robotic arm finally placed the backpack into a containment pod. Seconds later, a tense silence filled the terminal as the timer inside was diffused safely. Lily hugged Rex's massive neck, tears streaming down her face. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved everyone." Daniel knelt beside them, voice trembling with relief. I can't believe it. That dog, he saved lives." Rex nudged Lily gently, letting out a soft whine. He wasn't proud. He wasn't boasting. He was simply doing what he had been trained and instinctively destined to do: protect the girl, protect the memory of his handler, and prevent tragedy. The mother, still trembling, looked at Daniel with tears in her eyes. I don't know how she knew, but..." Daniel shook his head. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that he reacted perfectly. That dog, he saw the danger before we even knew it existed." Lily patted Rex on the head, voice small but resolute. "He said I could trust him. I did, and he did everything like Daddy said he would." Rex's growl faded into a low, contented rumble. The adrenaline in his body began to drain, replaced by calm, protective awareness. Daniel watched him, realizing that the dog's bond with this little girl went far beyond training or instinct. It was a promise fulfilled, a memory realized, a loyalty honored. Daniel stood slowly, glancing at the suspect secured by officers. He couldn't help but notice the expression on the man's face, fear, pure and complete. And Daniel knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that Rex had not only saved Lily, he had saved everyone in that terminal from disaster. But even as relief settled over the evacuated passengers, Daniel's gaze returned to Rex and Lily. Something in the dog's posture told him this wasn't the end. Rex was still alert, still aware, still connected. He wasn't done yet. Because somewhere in the chaos, in the unspoken bond between a child and a dog who had seen too much, a truth was about to be revealed. One that would change everything Daniel thought he knew about memory, loyalty, and the extraordinary intuition of a K9 partner. And for the first time that day, Daniel realized that this little girl, small, determined, fearless, was more than just a witness. She was a guide, a key, and whatever was coming next would leave the entire airport in shock. The terminal was quiet now, the echoes of panic slowly fading, but Daniel Ruiz knew better than to let his guard down. Passengers had been evacuated, officers were securing the area, and the bomb squad had removed the immediate threat, but Rex remained tense. His massive body crouched in front of Lily, muscles coiled like steel springs. His eyes scanned every corner, every shadow, every movement with unwavering focus. Daniel knelt beside him, hand resting lightly on his partner's shoulder. "It's over, buddy," he murmured. "The danger's gone." Rex ignored him. Instead, he shifted, positioning himself directly in front of Lily, tail stiff, ears erect. His low growl rumbled like distant thunder, a warning to anyone who dared step too close. Daniel's chest tightened. He had trained dogs for years, seen them respond to weapons, explosives, aggressive suspects, but never like this. This was beyond training, beyond instinct. This was pure, unfiltered, protective intelligence. Lily crouched slightly, pressing her small hands against Rex's shoulders. "It's okay," she whispered. "They won't hurt anyone, not while I'm with you." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen the bond between Rex and his late handler, Officer Mark Harris, and he had seen Rex's loyalty to him. But this was something different. It wasn't just memory. It wasn't just training. It was trust. And it was alive. The mother stepped closer, holding Lily's hand. "Sweetie, you're amazing," she said, voice trembling. "But you need to step back now. Let the adults handle this." Lily shook her head. "No, I need to stay. Max won't let anyone get close while I'm here." Daniel glanced at her, then back at Rex. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to remove the child, to regain control, to ensure safety. But Rex's behavior told a different story. He had already taken responsibility. He had already made the choice. A security officer approached cautiously, trying to calm the remaining staff. "Sir, the area is secure now," he said. "Nothing more to worry about." Rex growled, low and threatening, eyes locked on the officer. Daniel felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand. The officer froze, stepping back. Daniel realized something crucial. Rex wasn't just reacting to danger in general. He was reacting to anyone who might compromise the girl. Lily patted Rex's head. "He knows," she said softly. "He can see what we can't. He knows who's safe and who is." Daniel swallowed hard. He had to admit, even to himself, that he had never seen a dog exhibit this level of discernment. Rex wasn't just a trained K9. He wasn't just loyal. He was almost human in his intuition, guided by something invisible, something deeper than logic. The terminal lights flickered slightly as the storm outside raged on, the sound of wind and distant thunder mingling with the quiet hum of the emergency generators. Daniel glanced around. The area was secure, the backpack had been removed, and the suspect was in custody. Yet Rex remained rigid, alert, protective. Then something unexpected happened. Rex lifted his head slightly, nostrils flaring, ears pivoting. He wasn't looking at Lily. He was looking at the far end of the terminal, toward the boarding gates where a small cluster of passengers lingered, drawn by curiosity and fear. His growl sharpened and his massive body tensed further. Daniel followed his gaze. At first he saw nothing unusual, just travelers, luggage, and airport staff. But then he noticed movement, subtle and deliberate. A man was trying to slip past the security cordon, blending in with the crowd. Daniel's heart raced. "Rex," he whispered, tension threading his voice. "It's okay, stay with Lily." The dog didn't respond. Instead, he crouched lower, preparing to intercept, ready to act. Daniel realized the truth. Rex wasn't just reacting to physical threats. He was reading intentions, predicting danger, trusting instinct and memory over orders. Lily's small hand remained on his shoulder. "He won't let them take me," she said. "He promised." Daniel felt his chest tighten. This little girl, barely 6 years old, was communicating with a dog in a way he had never witnessed. Commands, words, gestures, they didn't matter. Trust mattered, and Rex's trust in her was absolute. The man tried to move closer. Rex sprang into action, bounding forward with precision, muscles rippling under his sleek black coat. Daniel followed, shouting for the suspect to stop, but Rex didn't need commands. His massive paws slammed to the floor as he intercepted the man mid-step, pinning him effortlessly against a pillar. The man struggled, but Rex's focus was unbreakable. He wasn't just holding him physically. He was holding the threat at bay, controlling it, neutralizing it with unwavering instinct. Passengers gasped. Phones were raised, recording every second. Some screamed. Some cried. Some simply froze, unable to process the living display of power, loyalty, and intelligence before them. Daniel approached cautiously, signaling for backup. Rex, hold him, don't let go. The dog's growl intensified, eyes blazing, teeth bared but controlled. He wasn't attacking. He was protecting, guarding, containing. Every movement precise, calculated. Daniel realized that Rex's training, his instincts, and his memory of Lily's father had merged into something extraordinary. Lily clutched Rex's fur tightly, her small frame trembling but her face resolute. "Good boy," she whispered. "You're keeping everyone safe." Daniel felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. He had seen Rex face guns, explosions, riots, and armed criminals. But he had never seen him act with such pure, unadulterated focus, guided not by command but by loyalty, memory, and love. The security team finally arrived to secure the man. As they took him away, Daniel knelt beside Rex, voice thick with emotion. You did it. You protected her. You saved lives." Rex lowered his head, pressing it against Lily's chest. The growl faded into a low rumble, almost a sigh. The dog had completed his mission, but not because of commands, not because of training, not because of protocols, because he had chosen to. Lily whispered softly, brushing her fingers through Rex's fur. "He always keeps his promises," she said, "even when we can't see them." Daniel's hands shook as he stood, glancing around at the evacuated passengers, the chaos slowly subsiding. Everyone was safe. The terminal was secure. And yet Daniel knew that what had just happened defied explanation. It wasn't just a dog saving a child. It was a memory coming alive, a bond realized, a promise fulfilled. Rex remained crouched in front of Lily, alert, aware, protective. He wasn't finished. Not yet. He had chosen his path. He had chosen the girl. He had chosen to trust. Daniel realized for the first time that sometimes training isn't enough. Sometimes instincts aren't enough. Sometimes love, memory, and trust are the only things that can guide a dog and a human through the impossible. The little girl hugged Rex's neck, whispering softly, "Thank you for keeping me safe. You remembered just like Daddy said you would." Rex responded with a gentle nuzzle, a low rumble vibrating through his chest. He wasn't just a dog. He was a guardian, a protector, and now, for Lily, he was family. And Daniel, watching this incredible display of loyalty, courage, and intuition, realized something profound. Some bonds forged in life and loss could never be broken. Not even by death. Not even by fear. Not even by time. Because Rex had chosen. And he had chosen right. The terminal had settled into a tense quiet. Emergency personnel moved cautiously, securing every corner, checking the evacuated areas for any remaining threats. Daniel Ruiz finally allowed himself a moment to breathe, but only just. His gaze never left Rex, the massive German shepherd crouched protectively in front of Lily. The dog's eyes, deep and alert, followed every movement, every shadow, every flutter of sound in the vast airport hall. Lily's small hands remained on Rex's shoulders, stroking his fur as though grounding him. Daniel realized with awe that she wasn't just comforting the dog, she was communicating, reassuring, guiding. And Rex was responding, not out of training but out of understanding. The bond between them was extraordinary, almost beyond human comprehension. Rex had faced life-and-death situations before. Guns, explosives, armed criminals. But never had he acted so decisively, so intuitively, guided not by commands but by loyalty, memory, and love. Today he had saved dozens of lives, and he had done it for one small girl. The mother knelt beside Lily, her hands shaking. "Sweetheart, I can't believe this," she whispered, voice trembling. You knew what to do." Lily shook her head slightly. "I didn't know, I just remembered what Daddy said, and Max knew too, he always remembers." Daniel swallowed hard. Memories of Mark Harris, Rex's original handler, flashed through his mind. Mark had loved this child, cared for her as if she were his own. When he died, Rex had carried that grief silently, channeling it into duty and protection. But now, seeing Rex respond to Lily, not just with obedience but with intuition, care, and understanding, Daniel realized something profound. The dog had never truly forgotten Mark. And now, through Lily, that connection had come alive again. The bomb squad had cleared the area, safely removing the pink backpack device. The suspect was in custody, disoriented and shaken. And yet Rex didn't relax. He remained in a crouch, massive body coiled and ready, tail stiff, ears alert. Daniel approached cautiously. "Rex, it's okay. The threat's gone. You can relax now." The dog's head lifted slightly, eyes meeting Daniel's, but he didn't move from Lily's side. His loyalty, his memory, his instinct, everything that defined him, was focused entirely on protecting her. Lily crouched, brushing her fingers through Rex's fur. "It's okay, Max," she whispered. "You kept your promise." Then she did something that took Daniel's breath away. She looked up at him, then at her mother, and whispered something simple but impossible to ignore. "He should come home with us." The words hung in the air. Daniel felt a jolt of disbelief. A trained police dog, a K-9 partner who had risked his life countless times, a dog who was officially property of the police department. And this little girl was asking with a calm certainty that he be allowed to go home with them. The mother's eyes widened. "Lily, what are you saying?" "I mean it," Lily said firmly. "He saved me. He saved everyone. He's mine. He should live with me." Daniel glanced at Rex. The dog's eyes met Lily's, and in that gaze Daniel saw something extraordinary: comprehension, relief, recognition, and a subtle, almost imperceptible nod of loyalty, as if Rex was agreeing with the girl's choice. He turned to Daniel, massive head lowering, ears flicked back slightly, tail still stiff. Daniel understood immediately. The dog had made his choice. Daniel's mind raced. Official protocol, rules, regulations, none of it mattered in this moment. Rex had acted as a guardian, a protector, a hero. He had earned the right to choose, and his choice was clear. He knelt beside Lily. "You really want him to come home with you?" he asked, voice gentle. "Yes," she said simply. "He's mine now, like Daddy said, he'll always protect me." The mother's voice trembled as tears filled her eyes. "Lily, are you sure? You don't even know what it means for a dog like him to live with us." Lily shook her head, unwavering. "I know he knows, and I know I can trust him." Daniel's heart ached with emotion. This child, barely 6 years old, had navigated trauma, fear, and chaos with courage far beyond her years. And Rex had responded with loyalty, love, and protection. Together, they had defied expectation, rules, and perhaps even logic. He reached down, placing a hand on Rex's broad back. I think he's made his choice," Daniel said quietly. "And I trust him to make the right one." Rex nudged Lily gently, pressing his massive head against her chest. She hugged him tightly, whispering words of gratitude and love. Daniel felt tears prick at his own eyes. He had seen bravery, loyalty, and devotion in action before, but never so pure, so immediate, so life-altering. The mother knelt beside them, brushing her fingers through Lily's hair. "If he's going with us," she said softly, "he'll be part of the family. We'll take care of him. Always." Lily's eyes sparkled. I know, and I'll take care of him too. Daniel finally stood, stepping back to allow the mother and daughter their moment. He glanced at the remaining officers, who were beginning to relax now that the immediate danger was over. Some shook their heads, disbelief etched into every line of their faces. Others whispered about the girl, about the dog, about the miracle they had just witnessed. Rex remained crouched slightly, tail relaxed now, eyes still alert but softened, head resting lightly against Lily's shoulder. He had chosen, and in his choice he had not only saved lives, he had found a home, a family, and a purpose beyond duty and training. Daniel knelt once more, whispering into Rex's ear, "You did more than I could have ever imagined. You've earned this, buddy. Enjoy it." The dog looked up at him, eyes deep and knowing, as if to say, "I will, and I always will." The mother extended her hand, gently touching Rex's collar. "Welcome to our family," she said softly. Rex leaned into her hand briefly before returning his gaze to Lily. She smiled, brushing her fingers through his fur. "We're going home," she whispered. Daniel watched, his chest tight with emotion. He had seen heroism in action before, but nothing had prepared him for this, a bond forged in memory, loyalty, and love. A promise kept across years of loss. A child and a dog united not by circumstance but by trust, courage, and destiny. The airport, once a place of chaos and fear, now felt quiet and almost reverent. Phones still captured the moment, but Daniel didn't care. He didn't need proof. He had witnessed something extraordinary, a little girl, a K9 dog, and a choice that defied rules, defied expectation, and changed everything. And as Lily wrapped her small arms around Rex's massive neck, whispering softly, Daniel realized one undeniable truth. Some bonds are stronger than life itself. Some choices are bigger than fear. And some heroes, whether human or canine, are destined to find their way home. Rex had chosen. And in doing so, he had chosen the girl. The city lights flickered as the taxi wound its way through quiet streets. Outside, the night air was crisp, tinged with the faint smell of winter smoke and rain on asphalt. Inside, the small car held a miracle, a little girl, her mother, and a massive German shepherd who had just changed their lives forever. Rex rested his enormous head on Lily's lap, eyes half closed but alert, ears twitching at every soft sound of the city beyond the glass. Lily stroked his fur gently, murmuring softly, "We're home now, Max, just us." The dog lifted his head slightly, letting out a low, contented rumble. It wasn't a bark, it wasn't a growl. It was the sound of peace, of safety, of completion. Daniel Ruiz had seen him face death and danger, but this was the first time Rex seemed entirely at ease. He was finally home in the only place that truly mattered. The mother glanced in the rearview mirror, smiling through tears. "I still can't believe it," she whispered. "I can't believe what just happened." Lily's eyes sparkled, wide with the quiet awe that only a child could feel after surviving something so extraordinary. "I told you he'd protect me," she said softly. "Daddy said he always would." Rex nudged her hand gently with his massive nose, leaning into the touch. Every movement, every gesture, carried a weight of understanding that no words could capture. He had carried the promise of a father, the memory of a handler, and the lives of strangers through danger. And now he was carrying Lily safely into her future. When they arrived at the house, the lights were dim, casting long shadows across the snow-dusted driveway. Lily jumped out of the taxi, tugging Rex down with her. He followed obediently, but every step was measured, protective. Daniel helped lift her backpack, while the mother opened the front door. The moment they stepped inside, Rex paused at the threshold. His eyes scanned the familiar shapes of the living room, the couch, the rug, the faint scent of home. For a moment, Daniel saw something human in the dog's eyes, relief, curiosity, and a slow, dawning understanding that this was where he belonged now. Lily ran ahead, dropping her backpack by the door. "Come on, Max, come see." The dog followed, cautious but unhesitating. He sniffed the air, ears alert, tail relaxed slightly. Daniel and Lily's mother exchanged a glance, both silently acknowledging what they already knew. Rex wasn't just part of this family, he was part of this family. Inside, Lily showed him the small touches of her life. A pink stuffed bear, a picture frame with her father's photo, a shelf of picture books. Rex moved carefully around each object, head low, sniffing, observing, but always aware of Lily. When she sat on the couch, the dog lowered himself to the floor beside her, resting his massive head on her lap. "You're really here," Lily whispered, brushing his fur. "You're really mine." Daniel knelt beside them, his hands resting on Rex's broad back. "You've earned this," he murmured softly. "You've been through so much, and now you're finally safe, both of you." Rex lifted his head, meeting Daniel's gaze. In that moment it was clear, the dog understood. He had fulfilled his duty, honored his bond, and now he had chosen his life. Not for orders, not for commands, not for training, but for love. And in doing so, he had transformed the lives of everyone he had touched. The mother wrapped her arms around Lily, holding her close. "You're okay," she whispered. "You're finally safe." Lily hugged Rex tightly, burying her face in his fur. "Thank you," she murmured. "Thank you for keeping me safe, for remembering Daddy." Rex leaned into her, letting out a low, contented rumble. Daniel realized something profound. No training could have produced this outcome. No rules, no protocols, no manual could have written this story. It had been written by memory, loyalty, courage, and love. A story that had unfolded perfectly, against all odds, guided by a child's faith and a dog's heart. Later that evening, the family settled into the warm glow of their living room. Lily sat cross-legged on the rug, Rex lying beside her, head on her lap. The mother prepared hot chocolate in the kitchen, the aroma filling the house with comfort and warmth. Daniel stood in the doorway for a moment, watching the scene unfold, a quiet smile on his face. He remembered the chaos at the airport, the panic, the growls, the flashing lights, the terror of what could have been. And now he saw the resolution, calm, safety, and love. The little girl and her dog had not only survived, they had thrived together, bound by something far stronger than fear or rules. Lily whispered into Rex's ear, "I'm going to tell everyone about you, Max. They'll know how brave you are." Rex let out a soft whine, nudging her hand gently. It was not for praise. It was not for recognition. It was for connection, the bond that had guided him through fear, danger, and loss, and now carried him safely home. Daniel finally turned to leave, placing a hand on the mother's shoulder. "Take care of him," he said softly. "He's more than just a dog, he's extraordinary." The mother nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "We will. He's ours now, and we'll never forget what he's done for Lily, for all of us." As Daniel walked away, he heard Lily whisper one last thing, softly but with certainty. "Thank you, Max, for keeping your promise." Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in quiet and peace. Inside, the house glowed with warmth, laughter, and the soft rumble of a German shepherd who had finally come home. And in that moment, it was clear to anyone who would witness it. Some bonds are unbreakable, some promises are eternal, and some heroes come with 4 paws, a loyal heart, and the memory of love that defies time, fear, and loss. Rex had chosen. Lily had trusted. And together they had found home. The night settled over the city, calm and silent. Inside that little house, in the warmth of a living room lit softly by a lamp, a little girl and a dog curled together, safe, loved, and whole. And for them, for the first time in years, the world was exactly as it should be, quiet, warm, and home. The story of a 6-year-old girl, a lost police dog, and a promise kept had reached its conclusion. But in the hearts of those who witnessed it, the echo of courage, loyalty, and love would linger forever. Because some heroes don't wear badges. Some heroes don't need words. Some heroes only need a heart big enough to remember, and a little girl brave enough to trust. And for Lily and Max, The adventure had only just begun.